One of the things that we've tried to do in the UK with the latest UK Corporate Governance Code is extend the way in which we look at governance. In the past, governance, quite importantly, has been about what goes on in the boardroom and the relationships within the company. Who's on the board, how effective the board is, the decision-making process. But that decision-making process is increasingly affected by a wider set of circumstances. In our report on culture back in 2016, we looked at those wider set of circumstances and we looked at the culture within an organisation. We understood that that culture was clearly set in the boardroom, and the boardroom is an important place. But it was formed also by the relationship between the board and the company, and the relationship between the company and a wide range of stakeholders. Global companies nowadays have an effect on those wide range of stakeholders, not simply on their employees, but on their customers and on their suppliers. And if they don't understand the relationships that they have and the effect that they're going to have on those customers and those suppliers and their other stakeholders, and indeed the wider community, then it will not lead to an effective decision-making process. Well, there are many things that a board can do to improve relationships with stakeholders. One of the things that we've drawn attention to in the new UK Corporate Governance Code is the important relationship between a board and its employees. And in the code, we suggest a number of ways in which that relationship can be employed to good use. For example, having a worker director or having a non-executive director on the board who in effect brings the viewpoint of the workforce into the boardroom. There are other ways as well, through panels, workforce panels, and often a non-executive director is involved there in order to bring the workforce view into the boardroom. But the important thing is not so much the process that takes place, but what the board does with the information, and once it's considered the information, what decisions it takes. Now, there are various other ways, of course, that boards can engage with a wider range of stakeholders. Some boards have what we call stakeholder AGMs. Now, they're not strictly annual general meetings in the terms of meeting the shareholders, but what they are is a company getting together with a wide range of stakeholders. There may be workforce representatives there may be customers, there may be suppliers, there may be members of the local community, and holding a day or a half day when the board can and the company can explain what the company is doing, what its future plans are, and in particular the purpose and the strategy of the company. Other methods involve actually getting together with individual stakeholders on individual subject matters. Now, clearly that has happened and continues to happen when it comes to the workforce. But if there's a particular issue regarding, for example, land use or regarding a particular supplier, then it's important that the board, taking into account the proportionality, actually gets together one-to-one with those different stakeholders. Section 172 of the Companies Act 2006 is an important part of that Act, and it's the part of the Act which says that a director has a responsibility, has in fact a duty to the company and its shareholders as a whole. But in delivering that duty to the company and its shareholders, the directors also have to have regard to a number of other factors. Those factors include the employees, the environment, customers and suppliers. In fact, it's not an exhaustive list. And this is really important for the company when it considers its purpose and its strategy. And I think these are possibly, particularly when we come to purpose, are things that have been overlooked in the past. The new UK Corporate Governance Code focuses on purpose and focuses on the directors making sure that their strategy is in place to actually deliver that purpose. The other thing we've done in the UK is include a strong reference to Section 172 of the Companies Act into the new UK Corporate Governance Code. And clearly when a board is considering its purpose and considering its strategy and considering all the other interdependencies and factors which affect its decision-making, Section 172 is very important because it says that the board, the directors, need to take into consideration those factors when delivering the outcome for the company when owing their duty to the company. But what directors really need to do is consider the strategy, consider the long-term sustainability of the company, and act in the best interests of the company, taking all those different considerations into account.